Hi, this is Ted Balaker with Reason TV. Today I'll be speaking with Bill Simon. In 2002, Simon won the Republican primary for California's gubernatorial race before losing to Gray Davis in the general election. As he did for Rudy Giuliani's 2008 presidential campaign, Simon often serves as policy guru to high-profile candidates. And how about this? Sometimes he paddles out with surfing legend Laird Hamilton. Okay, as a guy who grew up in San Diego, I can't help but be jealous about your surfing buddy.
I can't say he's a surfing buddy. I will say that we have gone surfing together a couple times, and today we did a little stand-up paddling, and I had never tried it before. And he's a great guy. He's a great example. He's like Rudy to me. You know, he's a great leader.
On the morning of September 11, 2001, you were having breakfast with Rudy Giuliani when the World Trade Center was attacked. How did he respond? What was that like?
He responded by saying to me, "Bill, you know, I've got to run now. We have been talking about my run for office," and he said, "Maybe we can have a drink later." And so he was very efficient. He hopped in the car himself, went right down to the scene, and that's the kind of mayor he was. That's the kind of leader he is. So he's the best leader I've ever seen in my lifetime.
You were top policy advisor for the Giuliani presidential campaign, and that seems to be par for the course for you in a lot of ways. You seem to have this role as sort of the professor of ideas of the candidates, of people favoring limited government. How did that role come about?
When Rudy started gearing up to run for president, you know, I said to him, "I'd love to help you." And he said, "Great." He said, what would you like to do? And I said, "Well, what I really would like to do is run your policy operation." And I could see he was kind of, yeah, sure. You know, I think he probably figured maybe
people weren't chomping at the bit
no,
for that one.
No, people were not chomping at the bit for that one. So we did a series of policy briefings for him. They came to call that Simon University. And so that was I don't know how, some things happening in life, you don't know how it happens. And so I don't know, they call that Simon University and still do apparently.
Obviously, the Republicans are trying to regroup and find their way. I'll ask you maybe the Rudy, Ron, or Mitt question. When you look at the future of the Republican Party, what sort of type do you see as being the sort of candidate that they're going to go toward? Will it be a Rudy Giuliani type, more socially liberal, very big on anti-terrorism issues? Would it be the Ron Paul type, more libertarian, a dove in foreign policy, the Mitt Romney type, conservative all around? What do you think the future holds?
You know, I think that whoever is a good leader is going to win the Republican nomination. I think if there was somebody out there that was a good leader and was a conservative, they might have, you know, the best chance. But I don't necessarily think that that's the be-all and end-all either, because so much of it is the person. But if somebody's a strong leader, I think at the end of the day, they get the nod. Because, you know, just like Reagan, you know, had the Reagan Democrats, you know, why did they vote for Reagan? Not because they agreed with him. He was a leader. And that's why you build these coalitions of people that will support you, that maybe feel that you're a leader, maybe they feel you won't embarrass them. You know, I think that's why I got so close to Gray Davis. You know, the registration difference is 12 in California, or it was when I ran. I lost by 4, and so you'd say, well, he beat the spread by 8. You know, at Las Vegas, that's good, but in politics, you know, you still lose. But having beat the spread, you say, well, how come he beat the spread? There must be somebody out there that's a registered Democrat that voted for him. Why was that? Well, most likely it's because I wasn't scary to them.
One area where things are looking up here in Los Angeles, LAUSD isn't really thought of as a beacon of innovation, and yet they go and do this wild thing where they open up roughly 250 schools to competition.
That's great.
So that the charter schools or other private operators can take over failing public schools. What's your take on that?
Fantastic. Fantastic. These charter schools have incredible college admissions, and that's obviously one judge. And, you know, I think it's fantastic that a third of LAUSD is going to, in effect, become charter, and I'm going to do everything I can to help.
Do you see this as as just the beginning, and maybe we're turning the tide against the public school monopoly? Do you see this as spread? I mean, if it happened in L.A., New York, it can happen anywhere, right?
That's true. That's true. I'd say this. I would never underestimate the unions. For the unions, education is not about teaching children. It's about a jobs program for their members.
The current fiscal crisis in California, there's still a lot of disagreement about what actually caused this near-death experience. What do you think caused it?
We spent more than we took in.
That simple?
That simple. If you go back 20 years, roughly, basically expenses grew at 5.9%, revenues grew at 5.6%. Now, it doesn't sound like a big spread, but over 20 years, it adds up.
So all this talk about Prop 13, the national recession, the two-thirds rule, you're not buying it?
Well, those are all things that, you can talk about, and they would contribute, to the size of the deficit. But the fact that we have a big deficit is principally because we spent more than we took in.
And on an individual level, you hear a lot about people having a rock bottom moment. They go on a big bender or something, they hit rock bottom, but then it's a learning experience. California sort of went through that. Have we learned anything?
Well, I think in that area, if you want to talk about hitting bottom, some people hit bottom a number of times. And I think California, could be likened to someone who relapses with some frequency.
And the Schwarzenegger tale is a tragic one. It looked so good at the beginning. He was talking about cutting taxes, cutting spending. He got in office and did exactly the opposite. What happened?
Well, I think he tried to fight too many battles. I think he changed his mind about a couple of things. And I think he tried to get too much done instead of focusing like a laser on just a handful of things. I would have liked it if budget had been one. But even if it wasn't, as a result, he hasn't gotten a lot done because he was like that butterfly going from buttercup to buttercup. And at the end of the day, doesn't have a lot to show for it.